To me, it seemed like she was guilty. She felt a lot of guilt. Does that help you at all? What did you guys talk about? Go ahead.
She was kind of like afraid to get out of herself.
Yeah.
Scared.
Scared, afraid, cool, I like it. I can bring it on. Okay, so we have guilty, we have scared. What about the piece like told you she was scared?
When she was like saying, I'm afraid I should go.
Yeah, literally she said, I'm afraid. Good. Is that a hand or no? Cool. I like what we have guilty, scared. Do we notice how old Phoebe is?
4.
She's only 4 years old.
Oh, it's just.
All right, she's 4 years old. Huxley, go ahead.
She's like reading and repeating like all these scriptures that like just like a lot.
Crazy, yes, okay. So like, would you say like obsessive? Cool, I like that, I agree. Go ahead.
She had a sudden change in behavior.
Yeah, why did you say that?
Because all of a sudden she started to stop crying and she was like, I'm gonna go to heaven. I love God. I find God.
Okay.
And that's just kind of very odd.
Very odd. Yes, I agree.
What caused her to
Cool. I like it. Okay, one thing I want to touch on is who is making her feel this way? Who is telling her like these sermons?
her 11-year-old brother.
Her brother. Cool. Yeah, and her brother is 11, so he's older than her, but he's really not too old. So I also think it's weird that he's like instilling this fear in her because he's also only 11. So let's see. Cool. Okay. No, I like what we've said so far. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on from what we read before we dive into like Puritanism? Or do we feel good about this? Do you guys agree with this? Does anyone want to add anything? Or is this how we all feel? Like she's a little bit guilty? Go ahead. I like it. Yeah. Backstory, be my guest. But I'm gonna read this like first little page with you and kind of like actively read it. Okay? So I'll start with a little background. Jonathan Edwards delivered his sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, in 1741 to a congregation in Enfield, Connecticut. Edwards read the sermon, as he always did, in a composed style with few gestures and movements. However, the sermon had a dramatic effect on his parishioners, many of whom wept and moaned. So I am going to read this first little bit on this page, then we'll talk about it, then it will be your turn to read, okay? We find it easy to tread on and crush a worm that we see crawling on the earth. So it is easy for us to cut or singe a slender thread that anything hangs by. Thus easy is it for God when he pleases to cast his enemies down to hell. They are now the objects of that very same anger and wrath of God that is expressed in the torments of hell. And the reason why they do not go down to hell at each moment is not because of God, in whose power they are, is not then very angry with them, as angry as he is with many miserable creatures now tormented in hell, who there feel and bear the fierceness of his wrath. Yeah, God is a great deal more angry with great numbers that are now on earth. Yeah, doubtless with many that are now in this congregation, who it may be are at ease, than he is with many of those who are now in the flames of hell. So beautiful. And as you read this together, just like picture this scenario, okay? Like this crazy guy in a wig is yelling these things at you, and people around you are like falling to the floor, like weeping, crying, like hugging their knees, like crazy stuff going on. So just think about how that might play into what he's saying to you. Like you might be more apt to believe something if the people around you are like convulsing with some kind of like religious awakening. So as you read that, just keep that in mind. Before I cut you loose, I want to bring your attention to two lines that I highlighted. So the first one I highlighted is at the end of the first little paragraph. So the first paragraph that says, we find it easy, I highlighted the last sentence that says, thus easy is it for God when he pleases to cast his enemies down to hell. 30 seconds, I want you to talk to your friends at your groups, and then we'll reconvene. Why do you think I highlighted that? What's going on? Why is it important? One more time. God, when he pleases to cast his enemies down to hell. That little sentence down there. 30 seconds. Ready? Go. Oh, you started talking.
I can do it.
I'm just gonna go with because he sounds psycho. Because he's like, oh, you can step on a word? Okay, then you're gonna like be dead breath. So what's weird for that? It's what I'm saying.
Okay. So that last sentence, then he is with many of those who are now in the flames of hell. Why do you think I highlighted that? Why did I bring your attention to that line? What did we talk about? Someone, tell me anything. I want to hear what you're thinking. Go ahead.
Well, I was discussing this with my group, and he repeats the phrase like flames of hell like multiple times. It's repetition. He keeps saying that, and he says that anyone in his congregation that isn't like Christian is gonna go to hell. That's gonna scare people, right?
Yep, exactly. Yes, I love it. Yep. So on that, like the theme of repetition, especially of imagery, like fiery pits of hell and anything equivalent to that, you're gonna see a lot of. It's gonna feel very repetitive, so I like that a lot, Lindsay. So I will leave that up here for you. Let's see, I repeated. Okay, so your job today is to finish reading the rest of this. Not super long, but do the same thing you've been doing, like annotate, take notes on the side, highlight, underline, whatever works for you. Whatever sticks out, what do you notice being repeated, what words, phrases, or ideas, and elements like persuasion and guilt. Lastly, I want you to think about why this sermon was so effective. What parts of it would make you convert if you were in their shoes? Like why did it work so well? And the time is yours. If you want to talk in groups, you can do that. They can't go in the hallway though. Okay, just kidding. You guys gotta stay in here. But talk amongst yourselves, do it together, finish reading it. It's so exciting. But go ahead.